If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard in Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Everybody, this is the Pro Zone, and this is Rick. Joining me, as always, is DVD Freak. I just said as always. That's not always the case, but for some reason you're here 3 days in a row, which I think is pretty fucking amazing. So
yeah, there you go.
That's look at that.
Yeah, it's a record.
I think we've done 4 episodes in 3 days between everybody involved, and hopefully maybe we'll do a 5th. So we'll see what happens. So tonight we're going to be talking about New Japan Strong and the finals of the Ring of Honor tournament. So where would you like to begin? You wanted to talk about the Ring of Honor last, you said, right?
Well, I feel like we should announce that we're going to try to do this every week.
Oh, yes. This is the new series, the New Japan and Ring of Honor. We will be doing weekly Tuesday nights, early Wednesday mornings, I guess it'll drop. So, you know, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've been watching New Japan Strong basically every week for the last, month, and trying to keep up with some of the other events. It's pretty hard. Got a couple now that I got to get through. I just, what the hell is the one I just got today? I don't remember. Either way, I plan to watch it soon and talk about it. So, it was the one from 2 days ago. So the actual event from Japan.
Yeah, I haven't watched New Japan since the whole pandemic started, really.
Right.
I've always said that's the best wrestling in the world, hands
Absolutely.
down.
Yep.
Not even a contest. Fuck you, Seth Rollins. New Japan is the best wrestling in the world. But
right.
And then Ring of Honor, dude, I probably stopped watching that before I even stopped watching TNA. So it's been a long ass time.
I hadn't been watching Ring of Honor for quite some time, but I would always give it a chance here and there. Probably once a month or once every other month. I'd watch an episode on the Fight app. But, then the pandemic started, and they started doing these little best of episodes with anticipation that they'd return to TV soon. But then come to find out, we didn't. Nobody returned to TV, So they went on hiatus, and then they started filming again in September, and then started the Pure tournament, and I started hearing a lot of waves about the Pure tournament through Brian Alvarez and other social media types. And I said, let me check it out, and I was pretty freaking rocked, and I was like, this is what Ring of Honor was founded on, and that style of wrestling, and I was quite impressed with what I saw from the 1 or 2 episodes from the Pure tournament early on. So I was pretty excited. I just wanted to continue watching. I said, hopefully this is where Ring of Honor is going to go in the future.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised, honestly.
Yeah,
especially by the main event, but don't want to spoil too much there. We will get to that. But yeah, this felt like I was watching an old friend when I was watching this episode of Ring of Honor. I was like, this is good.
Right.
Yeah,
and I discovered a couple guys that I've never really seen before. This Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. I was pretty impressed by him throughout the entire tournament that I've seen. Tony Deppen I've seen, and I was pretty impressed with him too, but I've seen him on other smaller indies, you know what I mean? And he was pretty good in this tournament as well. So
yeah. So I say we start with New Japan.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into Ring of Honor then.
Sure. New Japan Strong. What do you think? First of all, let me ask you. New Japan Strong started off with Kevin Kelly and now Alex Kozlov announcing. I think that listening to Kevin Kelly announce this show, sounds like he has a passion for professional wrestling and a great knowledge for professional wrestling in New Japan in itself, in the American Indies.
Yeah, and I've always said a two-man announce booth is all you need. I hate the three-man. I hate the four-man. This is perfect. And Kevin Kelly, yeah, like you get more passion out of his announcing than you will in like some other mainstream companies. But yeah, it was it was a pleasant surprise,
Yeah.
just hearing him again, and love it.
Yeah, I was watching, some of the New Japan stuff. He worked for a small indie in the Northeast for a little while, NECW, New England Championship Wrestling. But I guess obviously they really couldn't afford to pay him much, from what I understand. So he ended up having to leave. But I guess he was helping book them, and he helped that company out dramatically. This was like right after he left WWF as well, or the E. Was it F when he left? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Still, yeah. I mean, so anyways, I think he was great as a commentator on this. We have Clark Connors and Dylan Kyle Cox against the Regal brothers, Sterling and Logan. And I thought this match was really freaking cool. It was, the Regal brothers were basically like kind of mat wrestlers, technical, and they won by that spike DDT. I thought was pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah, when they were setting that up, I'm like, where's this going? And then they hit it. I was like, oh shit.
It looked like he was going to kill that guy.
And it's just like New Japan's, they honor the tradition of finishers. You know, they don't have a million finishers. When you hit a finisher, 99% of the time, that's it.
Yeah, it's not, you don't got to hit it, there's no dramatic kickouts and then you got to hit it 3 times. It's not WWE, basically, that whole kicking out and then doing it again, and you have to hit every single signature move. That formula drives me crazy. And I always use this one as an example. It's like, yes, I'm just so happened to gonna every match that Rey Mysterio wrestles, his opponent falls into the rope so he can perform the 619. It's coincidental that they fall in that direction for every single match, and that shit right there pisses me off because it's unrealistic. But the one thing about that is that's also the production of that kind of company as well. That they have to do stuff like that. Well, not that they have to, but they're so overproduced that they have to for their small fans because they're young kids that want to see crap like that. But in reality, it's just unrealistic.
Yeah, well, even when Rey Mysterio was in WCW, his finisher was the Frankensteiner. So that was something that WWE, they adapted from him, for him. And it's just like when I was younger, I'm just like, how often in other matches that are non-Rey Mysterio matches does somebody fall into the ropes like that? Mm-hmm. You never see that.
Right. Exactly.
And then they'll position themselves, like they'll turn a little bit so they can take the West Coast Pop or the Frog Splash,
Yeah.
It's so choreographed.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But New Japan guys could hit certain moves, but it's not as corny, not as choreographed, I guess, or not as expected. It's like when certain things are coming in the other show, basically. But this match, I thought it was a tremendous performance by all 4 guys here. I don't think I've ever seen the Regal brothers before. I think that was my first time seeing them.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I was quite impressed.
Whenever I hear the name Regal, though, I expect something great. And, they tore it up for what's considered a TV match. And I will be giving star ratings. I usually only do star ratings for pay-per-views because I don't watch televised wrestling. This is the first time I watched televised wrestling in a very, 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 very long time. So figured why not give these matches some star ratings. I gave this 3.5. I enjoyed this match. It was, kind of your above average tag team match. Like, it wasn't like stellar, but it's definitely good for a televised tag team match. And you do have to take that into consideration. This is televised.
Right. I'd have to say I'd give it a 3. I don't I'm not a person that believes in the halves, really. So I don't know. I think it's very rare that I would give it a half.
I go on the quarter scale. I'm very exact. I did have it at 3.25 originally, but then thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? No, if this was a pay-per-view, I probably would
Mhm.
have gave it 3 or 3.25. But being this was
Right.
televised, no crowd, I think to get me excited for it, the amount they did without a crowd or without a pay-per-view name to it, I gave them a little more credit than they probably deserved.
That's the other thing is like, think of this show without a crowd. It's just in an empty studio, just a ring. The announcers, actually, the announcers, I don't even think are they sitting there live?
Yeah, I think they were. I think they were
They're
behind a glass. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, plexiglass, whichever. But
Mm.
um, they're
Bulletproof
creating
Lexan glass.
yeah, they're creating a really good product for having no crowd. There's a bunch of really good promotions out there that are doing that. You know what I mean? Such as these guys, United Wrestling Network with their Primetime Live, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, which is also related to that. And I'd like to include a couple others, but I can't. So, but I thought it was just good. The whole beginning. If this was had a crowd in it, it would have totally fucking delivered. Like
Yeah.
100%. It probably would have gotten a higher rating if there was a crowd, because a crowd for a match like this really, helps out a lot as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Tag team wrestling's kind of built for a crowd because you have like double the heat for a tag
Right.
team. You have to look at the psychology of it.
Hmm.
A hot tag's not a hot tag if the crowd's not pushing for it.
Right.
So it's tag team matches I think suffered the most from this whole no crowd bullshit. So
I don't know about that. I think gimmick matches sure as hell do.
well, yeah, but I'm not a gimmick match person,
Yeah.
so it's just like,
Well, look at the Hell in the Cell or the ladder
oh god,
matches. The ladder
yeah.
matches we were talking about previous episodes, weeks ago, whatever. That those matches would be better with crowds, and they're not delivering by any stretch without the crowds. It's just
I wouldn't even had a Hell in a Cell match without a crowd. It's like the Rumble. Don't do the Rumble if there's no crowd.
I'm gonna be if they do that, it's just gonna be ridiculous. And the one thing is because are they gonna bring if they do? Let's just think about this. If they do the Rumble and there's no live crowd, is there gonna be any surprises in there? Any surprise entrance? There's usually at least two.
I think they will, but it won't be like anyone like crazy. Like it won't be an Edge return. It won't be like a CM Punk. I think maybe it'll be equivalent to like a Jeff Jarrett. No offense to him, but
It's funny you said that because that's exactly the name I was thinking. Like
yeah,
because
yeah,
he already did it once. He's on a Legends contract. No offense to
yeah,
Jeff. No offense to Jeff. He's a great
yeah,
great
yeah.
wrestler. So, but
I did read a report today that they were trying to get a crowd like more than anything for the Rumble
yeah,
because that's the most crowd oriented pay per view.
yeah. I mean,
So
listen to the reaction when Edge returned. I think that's
oh my
possibly one
god,
of
yeah.
the loudest things I've ever heard in my life. You know, and just the facial expressions that were on people's faces. Anyway, we're getting off topic. But that's nothing out of the ordinary. We've got plenty of time to get off topic. Um, did you
Yeah.
see this commercial with the laundry spray in this show?
No, I skipped that.
Oh, I actually sat there. I actually sat and watched it because I was just like, "What the hell is going on?" It was pretty comical though. It
Okay.
was nothing. Yeah. But either way, Blake Christian and Carl Fredericks. I've seen both of these guys before. I saw Blake Christian actually let's see, about 2 weeks ago on a show, on a Game Changer show. Uh, he's pretty decent. I think that man bun does not work for him uh, when he's running the ropes because it just looks like it's probably heavy. But either way, Carl Fredericks won by submission. This one, I thought this was a great match. I really did enjoy this one a lot. So
Um, what sucks is this should have gotten more time.
yes,
That's kind of how a TV match is hurt. You
yeah,
can't have a 30-minute epic on TV.
Right. And this
especially
also,
on a 42-minute program.
right. This one also would have really benefited from a live crowd because of the spots they were doing. It
Yep.
was, as Kevin Kelly said, you're not going to see a whole lot of technical wrestling, but they're going to stay within the rules. But basically, they were high flyers in a way, or you know what I mean. And they did some really cool spots in this, but that submission hold to take the win was pretty impressive as well.
Well, I think Kelly even said, "Don't expect traditional mat wrestling for this one."
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
ironically, it ended with a submission. So
it was. Yep.
I did like that little tidbit there.
Yeah. It was a fun match, and I look forward to seeing actually both of these guys down the road as well. Like I said, I've seen both of these guys a few times, especially Christian. I think I've seen more with wrestling, Game Changer Wrestling, GCW, every now and again.
What would you give this one?
Probably go another 3 stars.
I went 2.5.
Yeah.
I think it was most hurt by no crowd and not enough time.
Yeah.
It's a nice little skirmish. Don't get me wrong, but it's just it sucks. It's a product of the time. This would have went over great with a crowd for sure.
Oh, I think so, definitely. Yeah.
All New Japan product goes great with a crowd. So it's just like it's sad.
The funny part about that is we're talking about New Japan Wrestling, and crowds in Japan are different than crowds in the United States.
Yeah.
You watch the crowds in Japan, and it's silent until things get really insane. You know what I mean? Until there's that's the funny part. It's like, with a match like this, say if it took place in Japan, would the crowd be fucking wild? I've never seen a wild crowd in Japan, really.
Well, you know what they say, the quieter the Japan crowd is, the better, because they're actually absorbing it.
Yes.
And that's how I had this debate with JJ the other night. I'm the kind of person, if I go to a wrestling event, I'm silent the entire time because I'm paying attention, I'm absorbing it, I'm critiquing it. I'm not the popping kind of person. I'm just not.
It takes a lot for me to pop.
Yeah.
I have in the past, especially recent indie shows I've gone to when I was actually shocked at certain things that happened. I don't necessarily, like I said, I'm mostly a quiet person. I will sit there and clap when I see things, just kind of like the Japanese crowd, I guess. They'll sit there and clap respectively to matches, and then clap at the end of the match.
Which I love Japan crowds for that, because nowadays you have a "This is awesome" chant if somebody does a clothesline. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they could fart in a ring and they're like, "Holy shit,"
Yeah, they're chanting "Holy shit."
Yeah, it's just, and then the worst part about that is, now we're going to go back, and I hate to keep comparing to the other product, is that the piped in crowd noise. Was it the pay-per-view that we were watching last week or whatever? The piped in "This is awesome" and the piped in "Holy shit" chants. I mean, it's just bad news, man. It's when you have to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
You need it to be natural. You don't need such a produced product to put on a good show. These 2 shows that we're talking about today are perfect examples of not needing that stuff.
Well, one more thing before, I don't want to get crazy off topic here, but
Sure.
I actually know a few people that were in the Thunderdome, and they're basically directed through the entire show.
Are you serious?
They'll tell you, "Hey, cheer for this person. Put a thumbs up. If there's a heel that comes out, put your thumbs down like this."
So it's something pop up on their computer or their laptop or their phone or whatever?
But yeah, they're directed. It's like if you have a sitcom audience and they have the little directions up above, laugh, boo, cheer, that kind of thing. It's like a classic sitcom where they just direct you through the whole thing to have an unnatural reaction.
Oh God. At this point, I'm kind of sitting there thinking that, the Thunderdome's bad news. Whatever happened to when they were having the plants in the crowd instead, in the arena? The performance center students or whoever, where they just sat there and there's ridiculous overreacting.
Yeah, they'd be banging on the fucking plexiglass and.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
it's ridiculous.
And I think it's funny. I can't remember which match, but you might know the referee's name. It's the most overweight referee I've ever seen.
In Ring of Honor? Or no?
No, in New Japan.
Oh.
Maybe it was Ring of Honor.
I have no idea. I know, was it Todd Sinclair is the referee that's kind of chubby in Ring of Honor? He's on just about every episode.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I watched these back to back, so yeah. Never mind.
Yeah. I think he's a good referee, but he's on TV just about every match. So just about, at least he's got a good run.
Must be doing something right.
Yeah. Well, Sinclair owns the Ring of Honor. I wonder if he's related. I mean, maybe not. Okay. I have no idea.
Someone's cousin?
Yeah, someone. He's the black sheep of the family that needed a job.
They're like, all right, if you quit crack, I'll let you have a job. Okay.
All right, so the 8-man tag match. If you want to list this one off, I can't pronounce that name. Finley, PJ Black, Alex Zane, Mysterioso against the Three Sons of Haku and somebody
Kenta?
Else. I can't.
Kenta.
That one. Yes, Kenta. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, it's right here in my notes. I'm looking right at it. I think I combined two words by accident when I was typing. And Kenta.
I'll tell you what. It's great to see Kenta back in his
back in his realm.
Oh my God, yeah. Because I can't even remember what his WWE or NXT name was.
The funny thing that you're saying that is, I was just like, I sat there the entire episode trying to remember. I didn't even whip out my phone to look it up or anything. I was just like, what the fuck was his name?
Let me look that up. Because now I used to Hideo Itami, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I felt really bad for him because I really love Kenta. Yeah. And it's just like I can't name one memorable thing he did in NXT or WWE. Like it's retarded how misused he really was.
Yeah. I was really surprised that he had actually signed with NXT or WWE, period. Yeah. Because at that point I hadn't been watching wrestling that much. And then I, started getting back into wrestling and started watching NXT, and I was really pretty shocked to see him of all people, because he's still relatively young, but he's very well known. You know what I mean, in Japan, and was huge. So.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess money talks.
Yeah, I mean, he tried it out. There's so many guys that I wouldn't mind to see at least go for a run in WWE, even if it's just a couple matches. I mean, Christ, I got to see Alex Shelley making an appearance or two in NXT.
Yeah.
So, so that's something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if Chris Sabin's ever made an appearance. I don't think I've ever seen him. That's a guy that and a lot of these guys I'd like to see visit NXT, not necessarily the main roster, because, I think that they could have great matches in NXT.
NXT is very slowly becoming the main roster.
Oh, God, please don't. Anyways,
the second they went to USA, I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, oh, shit, I didn't write down the result. I think I got up. Was the Bullet Club took the win, if I remember?
Yeah, yep.
Yep, okay. That's right. And I love that theme song, the Bullet Club theme song. It's pretty fucking rocking.
Are you a fan of the previous incarnations of the Bullet Club?
It's before I started watching again.
Okay.
I had been on a somewhat of a break of, and the only thing I really kept up on was whatever WWE was pushing out, in NXT. And then I think it was 2 years ago I started, at that point, like 2 years ago when I started watching full time again, it was one of those things that they had already been kind of saturated and so many changes, and then so I didn't really know much about it at the time. Other than every show I went to, there'd be like 45 Bullet Club shirts. Yeah. So I don't know. Was it that who has more shirts, them or the NWO? It's pretty close.
Honestly, you know what? I don't think anything will beat Austin 316, but I think Bullet
Well,
Club
there's
is
that.
number
Yeah.
2. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think they probably do have more than NWO at this point. But when I saw this, I'm like, the first reaction to me was, oh my God, they're still milking this brand.
Yeah.
Like, it's dead at this point. But I'll tell you what, I loved Kenta's mannerisms. I loved, he has kind of grew his hair out a little bit. He
Yeah,
has
it
kind of
looked.
a more grungy look to him.
You did. That's the well. That's the other thing. I was like, that's not like. I was kind of thrown off a bit. I was like, he looked
Yeah,
way different. You know what I mean? So
but I love it.
yeah,
So,
I liked it a lot too.
and in this match, PJ Black, I was like, he looks familiar.
You don't know who that is?
And they're like, oh, he was in the Nexus. I'm like, Justin Gabriel?
Yep.
He like I
He
said,
started.
I've been out of the loop for a while, but I actually really liked Justin Gabriel when he
I
was
thought
in.
he was really good, and when he was
Yeah,
in WWE, and him and I thought Heath Slater were a good tag team, like a good undercard tag team.
yep.
It's funny that I heard, when he had did he leave WWE, you get released, whatever. He was using the name PJ Black, which was his older name. So I found an old magazine that it was sent to me about a month or two ago uh, from a dealer. I think it's from like either 95, 97. And apparently there's a whole one-page article preview on an upcoming superstar called PJ Black, which I was just like, that it was 20 years ago or something like that. I think was the article. So I thought that was kind of interesting and funny at the same time. But he started making waves again since leaving WWE and becoming PJ Black again. And I just think the mustache, the curly mustache that he's got, he looks crazy, like the pirate mustache or whatever.
Yeah.
And the green dreads, he just looks insane. But he's been putting on some good matches on Ring of Honor as well. I watched. I think he was part of the Pure tournament just a week or two ago.
Well, all I gotta say is good for him.
Yeah,
He
he's
deserves
killing
it.
it.
Yeah. And I love I just love he kind of has a more dominant feel to him, whereas in WWE he was just, you can tell he was holding back.
Yeah, he was kind of like a pretty boy in a way.
Yeah,
what I mean? He had like that haircut. He was clean shaven. He would have fit better as a baby face, but they had him as a heel just because it was part of the Nexus, I think.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts of the Nexus, the original Nexus? I would say,
I
not the crap version.
Loved the Nexus.
Me too. I gotta tell you.
And then it went to shit.
Yeah.
Too quick.
Well, that's the thing is like the episode that they all came out and invaded Raw, and the one that Daniel Bryan got fired for.
Yeah.
That, when I saw that, I was like, this is fucking amazing. It really was. And then, the next day they said, oh, Bryan Danielson was fired. And all that shit. I was just like, him of all people.
Yeah.
But I was just like, but and the funny part was, I was like, he's going to be okay because he can go to Japan. He can go anywhere, you know what I mean, and make a living. Because of who he is. He had already made a name for himself in Ring of Honor and the international scene.
Well, he even said after he was fired, he's like, okay, I'll just make more money on the independents. He made more money than ever.
Yep.
So he was like, when he got fired, he was like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, I'll never. And 2010 was a rough fucking year for WWE, man. So I was watching on and off, and I remember I tuned in for that second hour. That was before they were 3 hours. I tuned in for that second hour, and then I remember. I even remember that date. It was like June 5th. That's how memorable this was.
Right.
And it happened, and I just kind of, even after the show went off, like the next show started playing, and I was just kind of sitting there like, holy shit, that was...
It was shocking. It was...
Yeah. It wasn't... It wasn't reported. It wasn't spoiled. It was some classic wrestling. WWE and I was like...
They were still doing decent stuff at that time period. You know what I mean?
And that was the first time in a little while I was like, holy shit, I'm going to make sure I watch first thing next week.
Right.
So it really hooked you. I love that segment, and unfortunately, that was the peak of the Nexus. I really hate to say that.
They had some good weeks ahead of them. What was the pay-per-view? Was it SummerSlam that they had the elimination match?
Don't remind me.
Well, the whole thing is, they're going to have a surprise. Cena's team was going to have a surprise member. I'm sitting here like, it's going to be fucking Bryan Danielson. You're not going to tell me any different. I was convinced right away who it was. I was like, you know what I mean? And that was just a couple weeks after he got fired.
Yeah, it was only like 2 months, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, it's going to be him. Did they even really fire him? Let's think about that.
It could have been a word.
You got to go home for a little while because what you did on TV was a little drastic. Well, you had fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out flipping people off and just doing and then it's the same company that had the Katie Vick storyline, but they're worried about something like this.
It was the sponsors. They wanted an example made out of him, so they're probably like, look, we're gonna send you home for 8 weeks without pay. Do your thing for a little bit. We'll call you when we need you.
Yeah. Well, either way, I thought that helped Bryan in a way. Obviously, when he came back to WWE, it was a very strange thing because he was just like, he'd come out, he'd won the U.S. title, and what ended up happening, he would job to guys like fucking Sheamus as the champion. He'd come out with no ring music, you know what I mean? He'd already be in the ring.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and it's like they were trying with him to try to figure out what to do with him every week. It's like, all right, we're just going to give him a belt because it's Bryan Danielson. You know what I mean? It's just like, we don't know what to do with him. I'm sitting here like, I was like, well, he's on my TV every week, but I'd love to see this guy on my TV every week, but I was confused. I had no clue what the fuck was going on. Then the Nexus was just literally, once that SummerSlam match torn apart, it was just within just a very brief period.
Well, it's because Vince McMahon said himself, SummerSlam, the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, needs a happy ending. And I know Edge and Chris Jericho, they heavily fought the ending. They said, no, we need to put them over. This is their shot. This is going to break them. And unfortunately, even John Cena in later years, he said, yeah, I messed up. Yeah. He admitted he was wrong. So that's pretty big.
That's the thing is, like, you don't always need a babyface winning the main event. I don't. I like to go home shocked. But Vince McMahon was always a guy. Do you realize that the majority of his major champions were babyfaces?
Well, it took till WrestleMania 16 for a heel to actually win the main event.
Mm-hmm.
That really goes a long way right there.
Do you look at the NWA? Ric Flair was a heel the majority of the time that he was world champion. What was I going to say? He would bounce back and forth from babyface to heel, but the majority of the time he was a heel. So the NWA was not afraid to have a heel champion. It's who they were putting him against that was going to draw it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the thing about New Japan is...
Oh, yeah. We're still talking about that. That's right. We're still talking about
that. What did you give this match? I personally didn't really like this match all that much.
I didn't. I get amped up for special tag team matches like 8-man, 6-man.
I don't.
And I like 6-man tags, 8-man tags. I think because they're so random, they're kind of enjoyable. They're, this, I'm not gonna say I like the talent involved. It was just a standard television match, really. It was nothing spectacular about it. It was just something to help get the guys over, basically. It was nothing, there was nothing crazy.
I'll tell you what. One of my all-time favorite stipulations, I'd say probably my second favorite match type of all time, are Survivor Series elimination matches.
I like elimination matches, yes.
You make this elimination, I'm all for it. I don't like one fall 6-man or 8-man tag matches. I just don't. They're predictable. It's just, you can pretty much call one spot after another. It's just a way to get everyone on the card. I gave this 2 stars. which isn't terrible. Like, that's below average, but there was good talent in there. It's no offense to them. It's just it's a tag team it's a television multi-man tag match. I mean, what can you say?
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think I'm going to go with the 2 as well. It was just there, basically, and it was supposed to be as built up as the main event. They kind of hyped it up throughout the commercial breaks and stuff, and it really wasn't anything to write home about. It's not like I was calling my buddies being like, yo, you got to check this match out. It's just there, it was just a regular television main event.
Yeah, there's nothing on the line. It's just a way.
Right. So anyways, next week's show seems like, did they announce anything for next week? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, with this election, I've been just paying attention to that a lot as well, trying to bounce back and forth. We're not going to talk about that, though. So Ring of Honor from Mondays, it streams on Mondays on Fight. The finals of the Pure tournament, and EC3 made his in-ring debut for Ring of Honor. It was EC3 and the Briscoes taking on Shane Taylor and the Soldiers of Savagery, Moses and Khan. And this was nothing to write home about either for me. I thought that EC3, I really think he's great. His Ring of Honor debut was, to me, less than stellar.
I was going to ask you, what do you think of his new ring attire?
Well, he came out in jeans, right?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Well,
I don't like when wrestlers wear jeans.
That's really funny that you say that. I hate when wrestlers don't wear wrestling gear.
Exactly.
You come. I mean, if you're somebody like, say,
Cactus Jack.
I don't know. Yeah, but he came he still came out in ring gear though.
Yeah.
And then he went through the phase where he just came out in sweatpants and a button up. That drove me nuts too, because I was just like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There was somebody that I could say that got away with it.
Moxley.
No, I don't. I can't, because he doesn't seem to decide what he wants to do from match to match. Because he'll come out, he's got trunks, and he'll come out wearing camo pants, and then he'll come out wearing then there's a pair of long tights he owns, then there's a pair of black jeans he owns. But the funny thing about it is, when he was on Jericho's podcast, he went off basically saying how much he hated wrestling in jeans, and that Vince made him wrestle in jeans. He says, I don't care. He said, it's hot as fuck. He's like, it's hot as fuck. I'm under the lights. I'm sweating my balls off. He goes, he leaves. He gets a pair of trunks, and then he just keeps going back and forth between it. It's like you can never really predict from match to match what he's gonna wear.
Okay. Haystacks Calhoun and Hillbilly Jim. They had to wear the fucking overalls, right?
You cannot see Hillbilly Jim not wearing overalls. I'm trying to think.
Exactly.
I know he wrestled in Memphis as Harley Davidson, I believe was his name. Hillbilly Jim. I've never seen it, so I don't know if he actually wore gear or if he wore overalls. Haystacks Calhoun, I don't think they could have found any gear to fit him. They'd have to make it out of like a bed sheet or two. No offense.
Yeah, that takes someone special right there.
Yeah. I mean, just, I think the only reason why that guy ever made a name for himself was because of his size. I mean, obviously he just, he didn't wrestle per se. He just was immovable.
He was an attraction.
Yes. Similar to Andre. I mean, but Andre actually at one point could move, if you've seen some of his like 70s material.
I love Andre.
Yeah.
To me, he's the greatest wrestling attraction of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was he as good as, like, say, Khali or Giant Gonzalez? All right, that's just me being a dick again. So,
yeah, what
anyways,
the hell? Come on. No. You can never put Andre in the same sentence as those two fucks, all right?
I gotta give Giant Gonzalez
Apologize.
a break. I gotta give Giant Gonzalez a break, because I feel bad for him. He didn't know what the hell he was doing.
He was a basketball player.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, because they just threw money at him. He was just like, Ted Turner owned the basketball team, I think, didn't he? And that's why they brought him over, because they're just like, oh, you'd be a great wrestler. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think I don't even think really honestly he could speak English. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I don't think he could. So he's just like, okay, whatever, kind of a thing. So.
Well, where was he from?
Was he from? Not from Spain.
India? I don't know.
No. I'm gonna look it up
I
because
don't know.
Gonzalez is not Indian.
Oh, well. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Vince is ignorant, so.
Oh, there's that too.
He made Yokozuna fucking Japanese.
Argentina. Right? Argentina. That's where he is from. Okay, so now, yeah, okay. He made who? What?
He made Yokozuna Japanese, all right?
But he was Hawaiian.
Yeah, he was fucking Samoan. He was part of that Samoan family, and he made him Japanese. So Vince is a very ignorant person.
But he's not the only one that did that. I mean, have you ever heard of? Have you watched much World Class in your day?
I've watched some.
There was a guy named P.Y. Chuhai that wrestled there. Okay, and he was with Tojo Yamamoto, who was of Japanese descent. P.Y. Chuhai, his real name was Phil Hickerson, but he was playing a Japanese character, and he just wore paint on his eyes to make him try to look Japanese, but everybody knew he was just the white man, Phil Hickerson.
Phil Hickerson, that's the most white name, Phil.
I know, exactly. Yeah. So it's funny because that just like for some reason it's like the ignorance was not just with Vince. I don't know how they gave that gimmick to him in World Class. Who came up with that? But I always just like, this is so fucking bizarre. I was like, he doesn't. And when I was a kid, I kind of was like, even as a kid, I didn't fall for it. You know what I mean? I was like, he just does not look Japanese to me. Like watch him.
But Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, so Ring of Honor, EC3, the Briscoes lost to Shane Taylor and Soldiers of Savagery. What did you think of this? Like I said, I'd probably give this a 2. It was just like a less than stellar match to me.
I'll give it 2.5, which is as average as you can get. That's the average right there. You know, right. It's not bad, but it's not great. You know, nothing was putting it over the top. Right. This was, I'd rather EC3 do something else for his debut. He didn't
seem to be too involved in this. It seemed it seemed like the Briscoes were mostly involved.
And I like EC3.
I like him a lot. I think he's for some reason, I think that he was very misused in WWE, and I just don't want to see him misused in Ring of Honor or Impact right now. I'm wondering, is he actually under contract to either of those companies? Because I heard he's done with Impact. Really?
Yeah, I read that maybe yesterday.
So basically, just signed on for Bound for Glory, basically, and then.
Yeah, I mean, don't take it serious. You know, I'm not 100% sure, but there was an article speculating that he was done already. Right. So, but I'll tell you what, though, he's one of my favorite TNA champions.
Yep.
If not my favorite.
I think they really took a risk on him. That's the thing with TNA is like they took a risk on a lot of young guys like him, Eric Young, and just put a belt on him. Or they'd go to WWE, they'd never get a belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, freaking EC3 was on. If you were lucky, he was on Main Event. You know what I mean? Which is I don't even get Main Event, so I guess it's a Hulu exclusive. But these days.
I have a very famous story I've told on my channel where I annoyed him for like 3 hours.
Because I remember you telling me that.
Oh my god. I was 19 when that happened. So he did a signing where I work. Mm-hmm. And I went to my manager. I'm like, dude, I want to work that night no matter what. And I just started. He was in heel character, like for sure, which I give him credit for. I was asking him like really breaking kayfabe questions, like his match with Rockstar Spud. I'm like, hey, was that hard way or blood, or was that hard way or was that blading? And you could tell he didn't want to answer it. He's like, well, a little bit of both. And dude, I was a fucking smark that night, and you could tell, dude, he probably hated me, but yeah, I give him credit. He was a heel, and he probably only got 5 people that came in for that signing. So
really,
it was rough. And then I got into an argument because I was cashier that night. And I remember ringing some girl up. She had part of her fucking hair dyed, like Seth Rollins did. This
Oh
was
my god.
2015.
You know what? When Seth had that, I thought he was the biggest. I mean, not that he, it hasn't come out since that he's the biggest fool on the planet, but I thought he was the biggest idiot when I saw that.
But yeah, she was all dressed up in the Shield gear. I'm like, you don't like the Shield, do you? She's like, yeah, I love them. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Like,
Ugh.
I hate the Shield,
I
and
don't. Well,
that's a DPAP moment there for you. I hate the Shield.
I didn't mind them when they were heels in NXT. It's when they came to the main roster and they were baby faces that irked
What
me.
wasn't that
And
Florida? Wasn't that FCW that they were in?
I
Were they
don't know.
actually in
No, because
NXT?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't watching NXT in like 2012, so I don't know.
Because I was watching it on TV or
Okay.
the network, because I didn't get FCW, but the three of them may have started there, but I don't know for
I know.
certain.
Yeah, I know they started in Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't get that. I think I've seen very few of those. So the other thing with that is like, I I said when they were together as a group, one of the things I said was Dean Ambrose, John Moxley was going to be the future of WWE. Boy, was I ever fucking wrong.
Well, he was
it's
my
not even.
favorite. He was my favorite out of the group.
I
So
thought
yeah.
he was the most talented of the three, and I always thought because of Seth's hair that he was a fucking idiot because half was dyed blonde, and I was just like, that Seth guy, he's a pretty good heel, but he's, I didn't care for him. But I always thought Dean Ambrose, John Moxley was going to be a huge star in WWE. It just took for him jumping ship to another company for him to become that star necessarily. So
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm proud of him
yeah,
because it's seeing him in WWE. I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, please go somewhere else. Like when he announced he was leaving, I was so happy. And seeing him make his debut at Double or Nothing, that made me ecstatic. I was like, good for you. You can do whatever you want. You can be that heel. You can be yourself. You can have your own personality into it. You don't have to take a
right.
scripted promo. So he belongs in AEW. And it's like CM Punk. Don't go
Mm-hmm.
to WWE. You're not. It's like if you asked me to go for WWE, it just wouldn't work. I'm very much an independent person. Like, it's
Yeah.
just not. I
One of
could never
the
take a promo that's handed to me and make it work. You gotta talk with your feelings.
Speaking of which, somebody that Dan and I brought up somewhat recently, and that I think we've discussed her recently, Thunder Rosa,
Yep.
basically said that she would not want to be a slave to the system, basically. So hinting that she would not be signing with WWE when she signs, when she signs a new contract with somebody in 2021. So I guess that's her trolling WWE fans, maybe that she's not going there. I don't care where she goes as long as she's still on my TV and they don't fuck up her character.
Well, it's like Asuka. I
It's
would
kind of hit
hate.
or miss. I like her a lot. I think Asuka's really great, and I think
Yeah.
even it's a different character, but I think it's still pretty good, if you ask me. It's not. It's nothing to just give up entirely on Asuka for.
I love Asuka,
Yeah.
and I was at WrestleMania 34 when she
Okay.
lost, and I was like, really? Everyone, dude, it was like, I don't think it really came off on TV, but the crowd was really pissed off when she
Really.
lost. And I love Charlotte, don't get me wrong, but
Mm.
when she tapped clean to the figure eight, everyone flipped out. They're just like, really? Asuka lost? Because that was like the biggest like one-sided match. Everyone's like, oh, Asuka's gonna win.
Yeah.
And then that streak, because she was undefeated.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just wanted to emulate the Undertaker streak ending in the same building or what, but yeah, that was a rough time for the crowd. And that's kind of when I was like, well, I guess that's it.
So that now that we've gone on to an entirely different topic, let's try to discuss the Pure tournament finals before we get out of here, because we still got a little bit of time, not much. Hot Sauce Tracy Williams lost to Jonathan Gresham. What did they call him? The Octopus?
Wait, we didn't give a star rating for the last
Oh,
match.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we did. Didn't we say 2? And
Maybe
you gave it 2.5?
Yeah,
How many?
never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. I forgot. We got
cool.
so off topic.
We did. But that's the charm of this show, basically. So Hot Sauce Tracy Williams lost to Jonathan Gresham via submission. I really wanted to go with Tracy Williams on this to see him win, because I was really impressed with him in this tournament. I'd never seen him prior to this, but he's a guy that, and I liked his promo skills as well. I thought he cut some really good promos throughout the tournament, and even tonight with the going into the match with Gresham. So.
Yeah, I thought for sure he was going to win, but
Yeah.
I love how they do the tail of the tape, as they call it.
Yep.
It gives it a more sporty, competitive feel.
Yeah, like a real fight feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to pick him for the match. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by the finish, personally.
Yeah. Well, I kind of figured, I said, he really has him tied up pretty fucking well. I bet you anything he's going to submit. And I was like, but he can't tap because his hands are all tied up, but verbally quit. So, yeah, I mean, I'd have to say, I have to give this 4 stars. I thought this was classic, old school style wrestling, grappling. There was nothing really crazy. Do you realize they were going at it for about 2 minutes and then didn't actually do any maneuvers to each other until they were outside of the ring? They kept trying to go for certain moves, hip tosses and moves, and couldn't land them until Gresham accidentally went over the ropes onto the floor.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty close. I give it 3 3/4.
All right.
Dude, I told you I'm a quarter.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I'm on the Meltzer scale. It's actually pretty ridiculous. When I'm doing film, I go by like points, like 0.0. Yeah, it's bad. But yeah. What are your thoughts on the pure rules, like the rope breaks and all that?
I like it. I think it's great. Have you ever watched any UWFI out of Japan?
Nope.
Oh, you should, because it's basically shoot wrestling. Nobuhiko Takada started the UWFI after leaving New Japan, and the rules are kind of like that in a way, with the exception of it's Ring of Honor and there's more actually professional wrestling and rules. Whereas UWFI was actually more mat-based grappling and striking. So, I mean, the rules kind of remind me of that in a way, where it's setting up for like a real fight feel. You know what I mean? It makes it more realistic. It makes it more convincing that it's a real fight. It's not as hokey as, say, a ladder match with no crowd or a Hell in a Cell match with no crowd. You know what I mean? So I think it just makes it more legitimate in my eyes, and it makes them look like the better athletes in that way as well.
Yeah, and this went at a 1-hour time limit.
Yes.
Dude, I could have watched this for another 45 minutes. I really could.
Right. I could have. The way that these two were moving around
totally.
and grappling, and those are the kind of matches that I like the most, is pure grappling-based matches. And then there would be that, okay, there's a couple maneuvers here and there, you know what I mean? Like a hip toss or like a drop kick, but then they get back to an arm bar or a face lock or whatever. It's a lost art. And Ring of Honor tonight with this match, not tonight actually because it was from yesterday, but either way, proved professional wrestling still does exist, like actual professional wrestling.
Yeah, I texted you. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Traditional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest fault was this could have went another 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's why I just don't really like TV wrestling, because you're on a very scheduled time limit.
Well, growing up as a kid watching things like the NWA, WWF I don't think ever did this. But the NWA would be like, okay, we're going to commercial. If there's a pinfall or submission, any kind of result, we'll show it to you when we come back. And then be like, oh, we got 2 minutes. If not, then we'll just tell you the result next week when we come back or something like that. It makes it for drama purposes so that you'll tune in again or that you'll stay tuned. So I understand in that way. You know what I mean? You just can't be. You get what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
I think you understand what I'm saying. You can't necessarily be. WWF I don't think ever did that because all their television matches growing up ended in basically disqualifications, like 90% of them.
Yeah.
Which was just, do you realize the Intercontinental Tournament that they held in 1990? All of the matches ended up in disqualification except for the main event, the finals, which was Tito Santana and Mr. Perfect.
Well,
and it all clocks in at a half an hour as well, the entire tournament.
Oh my god. I hate disqualifications. I hate countouts. Well, this I think had a 20 count out.
A 20 count. Pure matches have a 20 count, and the thing with Ring of Honor, I think that also makes it, with the pure thing, it makes it more legitimate as well. So like if it happened, I think it helps sell it better if it does happen. The same thing. WWE does things like that senselessly, disqualifications, and the thing about disqualification is every single week on Raw there's disqualifications because of run-ins and chairs and weapons. Actually, the weapons are at the referee's discretion because 90% of the time these days they don't even freaking call a disqualification for weapons.
Well, it's like one of those things where you can put somebody through a table, but you can't hit somebody with something.
Mm-hmm.
It's really stupid.
Yeah, you're right.
And I notoriously don't like the Attitude Era because every segment ends with a run-in or a disqualification or just something fucking stupid happening. It's just
somebody showing up in bondage gear.
Yeah, it's All right, come on. I love Goldust, but
but come on.
But yeah, it's just I don't like overbooked wrestling, and this match is like it does prove like
it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible,
it's
especially
100% possible.
Yeah, you can have a good television match.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Ring of Honor. They could do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have. There's a lot of other companies out there that are doing ridiculous things to try and sell things. I've been a huge advocate for Impact, and over the last few months, saying that it's a really underrated product. But then they've had stupid things like the Wrestle House thing, which was like a reality show, fake reality show inside their TV show.
What?
But now they're doing this whole thing. We're doing a wedding. And this guy, Johnny Bravo, that's on the show, got shot. So they're doing like the whole J.R. Ewing thing, like Dallas, who shot J.R. with this guy. So it's like, every time I start championing for Impact, it's when they do something stupid. And then it's like every time I try to convince my wife, no, this is a really good something, you got to watch this. And then that's when something really stupid happens that's embarrassing. And then it's just like, well, that just me trying to convince you that this is why I watch wrestling, it just went out the window by the stupidity. You know what I mean? So.
Did you say his name was Johnny Bravo?
I did. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I did. I 100%. Right. Yeah. That wasn't made up. I did not slip.
Is okay.
He doesn't come out with a pompadour and go, nothing like that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, which would you say is the better show?
I like Ring of Honor. Well,
it's close.
I like the main event of the Ring of Honor. And I think the Ring of Honor, because of the main event, the pure finals, I did enjoy New Japan. It seemed like it was a regular television show, wrestling show. There was nothing really stellar to be like, oh shit. Like, I enjoyed the first 2 matches, the 8-man tag, not as much. So yeah, I think that the Ring of Honor, because of the main event, and I'm going to continue to watch New Japan. They always put on a really good product, but it's just that I think that because of the main event, Ring of Honor was the better show. That made me, I was really intrigued by that.
Yeah, believe it or not, I would say Ring of Honor had the best match out of these two.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say Ring of Honor all the way. I would even say Ring of Honor if it was just that main event.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they killed it. They really did.
I told Dan, you guys got to start watching it again because it's getting better. And the Pure tournament was definitely the reason what got me involved. One of the things is that we were going back about the commercial breaks in television wrestling is that they keep trying to get people. It's like, oh, there's a decision, with the television time limit, you got to go to Honor Club to finish it. It's like, I'm not signing up for Honor Club. I don't belong to Honor Club. I don't need another wrestling subscription service added to my bill. So, because I already belong to like 3. So, that's even questionable as to how long I'm going to keep the one of them.
The only reason I have the network is because of you. For the retro reviews, you dick. So you should send me $10 every fucking month.
All right, but you got Venmo, Cash App, PayPal.
Yeah, I expect a Cash App tonight. But it makes it more realistic where they're just like, yeah, just in case it goes over the time limit, tune in to Honor.
Yeah, you can
Club.
view it on Honor Club.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
which that's very kayfabe, so I'll give them that. But obviously, that's a cheap plug.
But there are times I wouldn't mind jumping in and splurging for Honor Club. But I'm just like, do they own? I mean, because they would have their pay-per-views, but then they would have exclusive events for Honor Club. Basically, was it weekly or bi-weekly, something like that? So it's just like, so I mean, like. And then there's a bunch of exclusive content, and then the entire back catalog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could be worth it. I mean, it's probably.
Well, how much is it?
I think it's $9.99 a month. I think, but I think you could also. I think you could pay for the entire year at a time or something like that. I don't know. But then you also get discounts on merchandise. All this other crap. You know what I mean? I guess there's different tiers. Like you can get discounts on merchandise if you're. Sign up a certain way. I looked into it a long time ago, but I have not kept up with it in a while.
I used to have the Impact streaming service just so I could go back and watch older pay-per-views.
The Global Force one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's the one. I had that one, and funny thing about that is I was like, there's nothing on here I really want to watch other than Explosion. Okay. I don't even know why I'm watching Explosion, so I wanted to cancel it. So I canceled it, but then they charged me again. So I wrote to them. I said, "Listen, you fuckers." So then they canceled it. They canceled it on their end. Then I never got charged for it ever again, but I still had access to everything that was on there. So for some reason, they just took out my payment information and I just gave me access to everything on there. Any of the exclusive events that they had. And this is so. It wasn't that bad, and it wasn't until they upgraded it and changed the name to Impact Plus that I ended up signing up again.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, they started doing more exclusive content on there, exclusive events. But even still, it's just like, Jesus Christ, poorly produced. Remember when WWF used to air the MSG shows and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's like they were like really poorly produced versions of that. It's like, the commentary would be extremely loud and you couldn't hear anything in the ring or the crowd or whatever. So
I'll tell you what. Speaking of poorly produced, I know AWA used to do this, but they would literally have one camera angle for the entire show. I love that.
Well, back in the day, they'd have like a studio, and they would basically use like the hard cam, the one cam. in the old in the 70s and into the early 80s. It wasn't until they started recording into the actual arenas that they started having the multi-camera angles, you know.
But the psychology behind that is it makes you feel like you're part of the crowd.
Right.
My all-time favorite promotion is AWA, and that's one of the biggest reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just had that one camera angle. It felt so real.
Yeah.
I love that camera angle. And it's just like nowadays with Kevin Dunn, it's just like you have 10,000 shots in a minute. It's just, God,
the whole thing is
I hate overproduced things.
When people start pummeling each other on the TV show and then they start flashing camera angle, like switch back. It's just like when they're just like, multi, chair shots. It's just like, what the fuck are they doing? More so, you're giving me a headache and making me dizzy by shaking the camera that way. I said, you're not entertaining by any reason. Is he on Twitter? Is he on Twitter?
Kevin Dunn? I don't think so.
I'm gonna
Bucky Beaver? Probably because he's going to get Bucky Beaver tweets every 10 minutes. So.
Yeah. Did you ever see Jim Cornette's impersonation of Kevin Dunn?
Of course I have.
It's hilarious.
I watch it like once a month. I love Jim Cornette. He's my favorite.
I clipped that and sent it to everybody like a while back because I thought it was hilarious.
Dude, Jim Cornette's my favorite wrestling personality of all time. So yes,
he still cares about professional wrestling. That's his thing.
I hung up the.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, yeah. I hung it up.
We've discussed him at length before. He's the greatest of all time.
Yep, he is. I listen to him every day I drive to work. So yeah, him and Meltzer.
All right, so when we get out of here, you could be reached where?
The DVD Freak on YouTube, which is where I'm most active. The .DVD Freak on Instagram, because somebody stole my name. And then the DVD Freak on Twitter. I'm not very active on social media, so you can still contact me there, though. And because of JJ, you asshole, I am on Snapchat now, which I have not used. But a lot of people send me shit, and I will always view it. So there's that. So, yeah, the DVD Freak on Snapchat as well.
Don't forget to subscribe and like the YouTube page, Pro WrestleZone Podcast, and follow Twitter, Instagram, the Rick Del Santo. Take care, everybody. Have a great night, and see you some other time this week.